Hi everybody, I'm Steve McDonald. I'm one of the editors at IDE. In focus today, railroads continue to report amazing numbers. Water prices in California go crazy. The gold bug camp gets a very, very big new supporter. Stock analysts biased. The shift away from equipment by big tech companies. Coffee is the new shortage. And of course, our Slap in the Face Award. Railroads and transportation averages. Norfolk Southern just reported amazing numbers. By the way, Norfolk Southern is one of the picks in the Sound Profits portfolio. They blew through all of their year-over-year comparisons, as I predicted they would in Sound Profits when I recommended it. Norfolk Southern is not the exception in the transportation business. FedEx just reported numbers that were double last year's comparisons. This is one more duck in line for the transportation average play I mentioned in last Wednesday's video. Rail business and shipping nationwide are exploding. You need to be a part of this. Next up, water in California is getting almost as expensive as beer. The cost of water in California has recently gone up 40%. This spells big problems for agriculture in the Golden State. California's farmers are one of the keys to the abundance of food we have in this country. Places like the San Joaquin Valley are centers of massive food production, but it is a natural desert and has to be irrigated. 40% of the cost of producing food in California is water, and it went up another 40%. That's a big problem for the farmers, but a bigger problem for anybody who has to eat every day. That includes all of us. The worldwide food shortage equation I've been talking about for a year is really taking shape, and you need to be making your investment decisions with all of these factors in mind. Think food commodities, and add to that growing list coffee as a growing shortage. This is sounding more and more like news from the mid-'70s. Remember all the shortages we had back then? One shortage after another. Coffee futures have shot straight up in the last few weeks on the news that there's a supply problem. Colombia has had 2 disastrous harvests in a row, and Central America is in the same boat. Coffee prices are up 1/3 in just 2 months and are at multi-year highs. The cost hasn't shown up yet in per cup prices, but it will. But don't buy coffee futures now. Don't try to play this now. They've run up so much in the past few weeks that most people are calling for a correction. A short-term one, but if you plan to play this one, I'd wait for a pullback from current levels. Gold bugs are dancing in the streets today, or at least they should be. Alan Greenspan this week referred to gold as the ultimate means of payment, and that it is the canary in the coal mine for a currency problem here at home. Is that a big deal? You betcha. Gold has been surging lately, and our own Rusty McDougall is calling for $1,400 gold this year. He may be low, and he's on the conservative side of the argument. Many gold bugs make a very good case for $5,000 gold, and it has to do with the dropping value of the dollar, not the rise in the cost of gold. They're thinking, and it makes sense if you work this out, is that the price of gold is fixed, but the value of the dollar is dropping. Therefore, the dollar cost for gold has to rise. It's all about the falling value of the dollar. Now, the current money supply is around $1.5 trillion, and there are about 800 tons of gold in the U.S. supply. Now, if you do the math, that works out to about $5,000 per ounce for gold, and that's something you should be thinking about. By the way, Rusty McDougall has one gold pick in his Resource Windfall Speculator portfolio that's up 100% in just 2 weeks. He also likes silver here. I just got an email from him before I came in here. Now, the downside bias of stock analysts. Here are some very interesting numbers. Right now, 29% of the stocks covered by analysts are rated a buy, just 29%. 71% are rated a sell or a hold. Now, if I know one thing about this business, it's that analysts, they are consistently wrong and always overestimate on both the down and the upside of the market, especially when we're near a top or near a bottom as we are now. Now, what does this mean to you? All the pessimism in the markets is overdone, and the analysts who are playing the follow the leader game to protect their jobs are way off again. This market is set to run, and you need to be in it. I've been telling you that now for a couple of months. A big shift now in the large cap tech sector. This is important. The big names of the past 30 years in the tech sector are making a big shift away from manufacturing to data and information management. Names like IBM, Xerox, and HP are making big gains in shifting to the business of managing information rather than making computers. This move is still in its infancy, but it looks to be working quite well. Xerox got a very nice write-up in Barron's this past weekend. You should be looking at this one. This is going to make a big difference in that business. And finally, the Slap in the Face Award this week goes to one of my favorite places on earth, France, but the government of France. I don't know if you've ever spent any time in Paris or in France, but it's just one of the most wonderful places in the world. But what the heck are these people thinking of lately? They've actually outlawed what a person can wear, namely a burqa. The Spanish and the Belgium, Spain and Belgium are also considering similar laws, and France has also started deporting gypsies. This just makes no sense. Recently, the French government said it is illegal, not tasteless or out of date, although it seems to be, but illegal to wear a burqa. That's the shroud that Muslim women wear around their face when they go out in public. They're saying it's illegal now to wear it in France. Now, if that's not ridiculous enough, France has started deporting gypsies too. Deporting people you don't like. Now, that sounds a little too much like another time in Europe's not-so-distant past. Actually, the law banning the burqa doesn't specify burqas. It says you may not conceal your face in public unless it's required by your work, like a safety mask at work. Sarkozy has either suffered a severe head injury or he's blowing a huge smokescreen to cover up other problems. Either of those would explain a lot. Let's get real, people. What difference does it make what a person wears? And deporting people, namely gypsies, because they don't fit your idea of the French culture, this is nuts. And the cheek smacker is well-deserved for this one. Remember, a little something called National Socialism didn't fall out of the sky on Europe's doorstep. It came from not-so-bright people who thought it was okay to use certain people as political fodder, and a lot of them fell right in line behind that thinking. Talk about a slippery slope. This one isn't just stupid, it's very scary. See you next week in the midweek update for everybody here at the IDE. I'm Steve McDonald. Thanks for being a part of us.